Did you know that some of the most awe-inspiring structures in history are chronicled within the pages of the Bible? These aren't just ancient ruins. They are monuments to faith, ambition, and divine intervention. Some were forged with unimaginable wealth and meticulous craftsmanship. Others crumbled in ways that defy conventional explanation, and a select few continue to puzzle scientists and archaeologists to this very day. In this captivating video, we're about to embark on a journey to uncover the 5 greatest biblical constructions and the profound secrets they conceal. And trust us, the last one on our list will undoubtedly leave you speechless. Are you ready to traverse the landscapes of faith, history, and archaeological discovery? Then let's begin. Have you ever paused to truly imagine the monumental undertaking of constructing a colossal vessel, an ark of epic proportions, without the aid of any modern technology? No cranes to hoist massive timbers, no power saws to cut with precision, just raw wood, calloused hands, and an unshakable faith guiding every painstaking effort. This seemingly impossible feat is precisely what Noah accomplished, and today, we're going to delve into this fascinating mystery that spans millennia, continuing to intrigue scientists, archaeologists, and people of faith alike. The Bible recounts a time when the earth was steeped in profound corruption and violence, a moral decay so pervasive that it grieved the heart of God. In this grim era, God chose one righteous man, Noah, for a mission that seemed utterly impossible: to construct a colossal refuge. This ark was destined not only to save his immediate family, but also to preserve representatives of every living animal species from an impending global deluge. Now, try to envision the scene. Noah receives this staggering divine command. He then embarks on the arduous task of felling trees, shaping massive planks, meticulously crafting intricate joints, and designing countless compartments within the ark. The labor was immense, a truly Herculean effort that spanned decades. Throughout this monumental undertaking, Noah faced relentless mockery from a skeptical world, endured scorching heat and back-breaking toil, all while bearing the immense weight of responsibility, the preservation of God's entire creation resting squarely on his shoulders. The ark was far more than a mere boat. It was an engineering marvel of its time, designed for immense capacity and stability rather than speed or maneuverability. Its dimensions were truly gigantic, approximately 450 feet, 135 meters, long, 75 feet, 22 meters, wide, and 45 feet, 13 meters, high. To put this into perspective, its volume was roughly equivalent to that of 500 modern railroad cars, or nearly the size of a modern cargo ship. And astonishingly, this entire Leviathan was constructed from gopher wood, a type of timber noted for its strength and resistance, and meticulously coated both inside and out with bitumen, a natural tar-like substance, ensuring its impenetrable resistance to the raging waters of the global flood. Now, let's ponder this together. How did Noah, without any advanced tools, achieve such an extraordinary feat of engineering and carpentry? How could he have possibly managed to gather, house, feed, and organize such a vast menagerie of animals within the ark, maintaining order and sanitation for over a year? And was there truly a deluge of such magnitude that it could submerge mountains, reshaping the face of the earth? Is this incredible narrative simply a myth passed down through generations? Or are there genuine indications that something of this scale actually transpired? Indeed, geologists and historians have uncovered compelling evidence of immense catastrophic flooding events in the ancient Mesopotamian region, the very cradle of civilization. Studies suggest that thousands of years ago, cataclysmic hydrological events may have submerged vast areas, potentially giving rise to widespread cultural traditions and myths of a global or widespread deluge. But what truly captures the imagination, bridging the gap between ancient texts and modern inquiry, are the persistent claims and alleged discoveries of the ark itself. In 1959, a Turkish pilot conducting a reconnaissance flight over Mount Ararat, the traditional resting place of the ark, identified a distinctive boat-shaped formation etched into the landscape. Since then, numerous expeditions, fueled by both faith and scientific curiosity, have attempted to confirm if the weathered remains of Noah's vessel lie buried beneath the snow and ice. Some of these missions have reportedly unearthed pieces of petrified wood and identified unusual geological structures remarkably compatible with a large, ancient boat. But is it definitively Noah's Ark? The scientific community continues to debate the findings with rigorous skepticism, while the faith of millions remains steadfast and unshakable, awaiting definitive proof. Imagine standing before an ancient city, encircled by immense walls, so thick and formidable that they appeared utterly impregnable, capable of withstanding any siege or assault. Now, consider the truly impossible. These colossal walls don't crumble under the force of advanced siege engines or battering rams, but instead collapse entirely, brought down by nothing more than the unified sound of trumpets and the fervent shouts of faith. This is the astonishing story of Jericho, not just one of the oldest continually inhabited cities in the world, but also the stage for one of the most dramatic and miraculous events recorded in the Bible. But did such an extraordinary event genuinely occur? And what insights can modern archaeology and science offer regarding this incredible, seemingly impossible downfall? The Bible vividly describes Jericho as a city heavily fortified, its formidable walls appearing utterly insurmountable to the weary Israelites. They had just emerged from 40 long years of wandering in the harsh desert wilderness, a people accustomed to nomadic life, not urban conquest. Capturing Jericho, the gateway to the Promised Land, presented an overwhelming challenge. Yet God had an extraordinary plan. He commanded the Israelite army to march around the city once a day for 6 days, in complete silence. On the climactic 7th day, they were to circle the city 7 times, and then, at the command of Joshua, priests would blow their trumpets, and the entire army would shout with a mighty roar. And then, precisely as promised, something truly incredible happened. The massive walls of Jericho collapsed entirely, opening the city to the Israelites. Now, let's pause and truly contemplate this. Is such an event physically possible? How could a simple procession, the sound of trumpets, and a collective shout possibly topple walls renowned for their strength and resilience? Throughout the 20th century, a succession of archaeologists meticulously investigated the ruins of Jericho, unearthing impressive evidence of its ancient fortifications. One of the most compelling and indeed shocking discoveries was made by the renowned British archaeologist Kathleen Kenyon, who conducted extensive excavations in the 1950s. She identified the remains of truly massive walls, confirming the biblical description of Jericho's formidable defenses. Even more surprisingly, her findings included clear evidence of a sudden, catastrophic collapse. The walls appeared to have fallen inward, rather than outward, as would typically be the case from an external siege or assault. This peculiar pattern of collapse remarkably coincides with the biblical account, which explicitly states that the walls were not breached by conventional siege weaponry like battering rams or catapults, but rather by an unseen, divine power. Naturally, some scholars have attempted to find a purely naturalistic explanation for this extraordinary event. One prominent theory suggests that a powerful earthquake may have been the true culprit behind the collapse of Jericho's walls. Indeed, Jericho is strategically situated atop the Great Rift Valley, a geologically active fault line, making earthquakes a common occurrence in the region throughout history. Scientists argue that a strong earthquake, occurring at precisely the right moment, could certainly have caused the massive walls to crumble. But here lies the most intriguing detail, one that challenges any purely natural explanation. How could Joshua and the people of Israel have possibly predicted the exact timing of such a catastrophic earthquake? And, perhaps even more incredibly, how would that earthquake have coincided with the precise moment of the trumpet blasts and the synchronized shouts of war, as described in the sacred text? The perfect synchronicity remains a profound mystery, leading many to conclude that divine orchestration, rather than mere coincidence, was at play. And prepare yourselves, because the next construction we are about to explore is even more mysterious and utterly fascinating. Imagine an edifice so majestic, so exquisitely crafted, that its very walls were sheathed in pure, gleaming gold, reflecting the light of the sun with a celestial, otherworldly brilliance. This was not merely a building. It was a sacred sanctuary, meticulously designed and consecrated to house the very presence of God on earth. This was the Temple of Solomon, arguably the most grandiose and magnificent structure ever erected by the nation of Israel. But how was this architectural wonder actually constructed? What does the silent testimony of archaeology reveal about its historical existence? And, perhaps most profoundly, what is its true and enduring spiritual significance? Solomon, renowned as the wisest king of Israel, inherited a sacred commission from his father, King David, to build a permanent and glorious house for the Lord. The chosen site for this momentous undertaking was none other than Mount Moriah, the very ground where Abraham, centuries earlier, had almost sacrificed his son Isaac in an act of profound obedience. The construction project itself was colossal in scale and ambition. The immense stones used were meticulously quarried and cut with unparalleled precision, then transported to the temple site. Miraculously, as per divine instruction, they were fitted into place without the clatter of hammers or the sound of any iron tools being heard on site, a testament to its prefabrication and divine sanctity. Cedar wood, renowned as one of the noblest and most fragrant timbers of the ancient world, was imported in vast quantities from Lebanon to adorn the temple's opulent interior. And the most breathtaking detail, the entire interior, from floor to ceiling, was overlaid with shimmering, pure gold. Intricately carved cherubim, graceful palm trees, and delicate open flowers decorated the golden walls, transforming the space into an earthly paradise. At the very heart of the temple stood the Holy of Holies, the most sacred and forbidden place, which housed the Ark of the Covenant, the tangible symbol of God's holy presence dwelling amongst his people. After 7 painstaking years of unparalleled craftsmanship and unwavering dedication, the temple stood complete, a marvel of ancient architecture and spiritual devotion. But something even more glorious was yet to unfold. Solomon gathered all the people of Israel for an unforgettable dedication ceremony, a moment of profound national and spiritual significance. The king, kneeling before the altar, offered a heartfelt prayer, imploring God to inhabit this sacred dwelling. And then, in a dramatic and supernatural manifestation, a glorious cloud, the visible manifestation of God's Shekinah glory, filled the temple, and fire descended from heaven upon the altar, consuming the sacrifices. It was an unmistakable and awe-inspiring sign that God had unequivocally accepted this house as his sanctuary, sanctifying it with his very presence. The Israelites, overwhelmed with wonder and reverent awe, fell to their knees. They were not merely witnessing a ritual. They were in the direct, palpable presence of the living God. And prepare yourselves, because the next construction we are about to explore is arguably even more profoundly impressive, touching upon the very origins of human diversity and ambition. Imagine a world where all of humanity spoke a single language, without barriers, without borders, all united in one singular, ambitious purpose: to construct a towering edifice so immense that its pinnacle would literally reach into the heavens. Yet, this shared ambition, rather than drawing humanity closer to God in humility, instead sparked his righteous displeasure. And then, something utterly unbelievable transpired. The very fabric of communication among them was suddenly shattered, and the colossal construction project ground to a halt forever. But what was the Tower of Babel truly? Did it exist as a historical reality? What does the silent narrative of archaeology tell us about this ancient story? And most importantly, what profound and enduring lesson does this unfinished construction impart to us even today, millennia later? The Bible recounts that after the Great Flood, as Noah's descendants began to multiply and spread across the earth, they eventually settled in the plain of Shinar, a region corresponding to ancient Mesopotamia. Here, they embarked on an ambitious architectural endeavor, utilizing groundbreaking technology for their era, fire-baked bricks for superior strength, and bitumen as an incredibly strong, waterproof mortar. With these materials, they began to construct a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. This was not merely an architectural marvel. It was a profound symbol of human pride, collective ambition, and defiant self-sufficiency. As they declared in Genesis 11 verse 4, they aimed to make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Their intention was clear. They sought to challenge God's command to fill the earth and establish their own legacy, independent of divine will. But God, observing the burgeoning human ambition and the rebellious heart behind their unified project, intervened. He made a radical decision to confuse the language of humanity so that they could no longer understand one another. Imagine the immediate chaos that would have ensued on that massive construction site. A worker shouts for bricks, but his colleague hears water. The master builder issues commands, but his instructions are met with blank stares and incomprehension. From one moment to the next, complete pandemonium seized the building site. And just like that, the construction ceased. The unified people, unable to communicate or collaborate, were compelled to disperse across the world, forming diverse nations and distinct cultures. This pivotal event, therefore, marked the genesis of the myriad languages we speak today, a testament to divine judgment and the birth of human linguistic diversity. But is this compelling narrative merely a foundational myth, or are there tangible archaeological echoes of this legendary tower? Many scholars and archaeologists believe that the biblical account of the Tower of Babel may have been inspired by, or refers to, the real-world existence of ziggurats. These were massive, stepped pyramid-like temples, a signature architectural form of ancient Mesopotamia, built by Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian civilizations. The most famous of these is Etemenanke, the magnificent ziggurat in ancient Babylon, dedicated to the chief god Marduk. Ancient Babylonian inscriptions refer to Etemenanke as the house of the foundation of heaven and earth, a name strikingly reminiscent of the audacious objective of the Tower of Babel. Historical records indicate that Etemenanke was destroyed and rebuilt several times throughout its history before finally being abandoned to ruin. Could this imposing structure be the very tower mentioned in the Bible, or at least its real-world inspiration? While a definitive answer remains elusive, the profound similarities between the biblical descriptions and archaeological findings are undeniably impressive and deeply thought-provoking. Now, let me ask you to consider this. What are you building in your life? Are your efforts, your ambitions, and your legacy intended for the glory of God, or are they primarily for your own self-aggrandizement? If you choose to construct your life upon the unwavering foundation of God's will and purpose, we invite you to comment right now, "Lord, I want to build my life in you." And in our final chapter of this exploration, we will delve into another biblical construction that profoundly challenges both conventional logic and historical understanding. Imagine living through an era when your entire people were violently torn from their homeland, dragged into arduous exile in a foreign land, and witnessed their most sacred sanctuary, the temple, reduced to smoldering rubble. Would this signify the ultimate severing of their connection with God? Not for the resilient Jewish people. Upon their return from captivity in Babylon, they carried not only the weight of their past but also a fervent, unyielding dream to rebuild the temple and, in doing so, restore their very faith and national identity. The Second Temple of Jerusalem was far more than just an architectural marvel. It became a powerful, living symbol of rebirth, unwavering hope, and the enduring identity of an entire nation. But how was this extraordinary edifice constructed? What unique features set it apart? And, tragically, why was it ultimately destroyed? After 70 long, arduous years of exile in Babylon, a period prophesied by Jeremiah, the Jewish people finally received a glimmer of hope. The benevolent Persian king Cyrus the Great, moved by divine inspiration or political expediency, issued a decree permitting their return to Jerusalem and, crucially, ordered the reconstruction of the temple, even providing resources for the monumental undertaking. However, as they began the painstaking work of laying new foundations, the returning exiles were confronted with a harsh, sobering reality. This new temple would be vastly different from the legendary magnificence of Solomon's. It was smaller, less lavish, conspicuously lacking the sacred Ark of the Covenant, and devoid of the dazzling brilliance of pure gold cladding its walls. The elders, those who vividly remembered the unparalleled splendor of the first temple, wept bitterly at the sight, for this new structure appeared tragically pale and inadequate in comparison to the glory of what had been lost. Yet, amidst this wave of disappointment and sorrow, God sent a powerful, encouraging message through the prophet Haggai. "The glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, Haggai 2 verse 9. What could this extraordinary prophecy possibly mean? How could a physically inferior, less opulent temple ever be deemed more glorious than the first unparalleled temple of Solomon? It hinted at a future glory, a spiritual fulfillment that transcended mere architectural grandeur. Centuries later, an ambitious and politically astute ruler, King Herod the Great, recognizing the spiritual and political significance of the temple, embarked on a colossal project to expand and magnificently beautify the Second Temple. He transformed it from a modest structure into one of the most breathtaking and imposing religious edifices in the entire ancient world. Herod nearly doubled the size of the temple's vast esplanade, constructing an enormous system of retaining walls, porticos, and grand staircases. He adorned parts of the temple with gleaming gold and pristine white marble, creating an unparalleled spectacle. The result was a structure of unimaginable scale and beauty, an architectural marvel that literally shone under the bright Jerusalem sun, leaving visitors and pilgrims utterly awestruck by its sheer grandeur and resplendent beauty. This magnificent temple became the undisputed spiritual and national heart of Judaism, a vibrant center of worship and pilgrimage. It was within these very courts that Jesus Christ taught, performed miracles, confronted the money changers, and, chillingly, prophesied its eventual destruction. And precisely as he foretold, it came to pass. In 70 AD, during the first Jewish revolt, the Roman legions, led by General Titus, laid siege to Jerusalem. After months of brutal fighting, they finally breached the city's defenses and, tragically, set the glorious temple ablaze. Historical accounts describe how the vast quantities of gold adorning the temple melted and seeped into the crevices between the stones, prompting the Roman soldiers to meticulously dismantle every stone to extract the precious metal. To this day, all that remains of Herod's magnificent expansion is the Western Wall, often known as the Wailing Wall, a sacred fragment of the original retaining structure that still stands, serving as a poignant, enduring reminder for Jews worldwide of the temple's past glory and the profound pain of its irreplaceable loss. Historically, the temple was the consecrated place of God's dwelling, the sacred space where elaborate sacrifices were offered, and the people of Israel sought atonement, forgiveness, and divine guidance. But with Jesus' coming, something profoundly revolutionary changed. He brought a paradigm-shifting message, declaring, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." John 2 verse 19. He was speaking not of the physical edifice, but of the temple of his own body, signifying a new covenant where God would dwell not in buildings made by human hands, but within the hearts of believers. Now, ponder this deeply with me. If God desires to make his dwelling within you, as the new spiritual temple, is your life truly prepared to receive him? Are you actively cultivating a heart and spirit that can serve as a suitable living sanctuary for the divine? If you genuinely wish to become a living temple for God, we invite you to express your desire right now by commenting, "Lord, dwell in me." This profound journey into ancient biblical architecture was merely the beginning. To truly immerse yourself further in the rich tapestry of biblical history and culture, we encourage you to watch our next video, which explores the intricate details of daily life in ancient Israel. You will uncover fascinating insights into their vibrant culture, the everyday routines of its people, their distinctive attire, staple foods, and how an unwavering faith profoundly shaped every single aspect of their society. Click on the video now displayed on your screen and embark on this incredible journey back in time.